Afternoon. We would like to welcome you to our January 16th, 2024 school board meeting. Welcome. Will you please stand for a moment of silence and followed by the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a sign-in sheet at the back of the room. If anyone chooses to get on the public comment, Mrs. Becky has that sheet now. Whoever would like to speak, you've spoken under that. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Bishop. First, we will go to the agenda. And what we have here, board members, we are going to have amendments to the agenda, and if anyone would like to pull anything from the agenda. First, we will do the amendments to the agenda, and we're going to do the calendar revisions, and we're going to put that under consent agenda at 4.9 under Mrs. Joseph. We're going to pull 5.1 internal accounts audit. Okay.
Madam Chair, can you also pull 5.9? I don't have anything for you to vote on.
Okay. We're pulling 5.9. 5.9 is school restructuring. And that was supposed to have been under Ms. Joseph, so we're pulling that. We will go to public comment. Now, we're going to adopt the agenda first.
Madam Chair, I move to adopt the agenda.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Board Member Knight, second by Board Member Ms. Carroll, that we accept the agenda as it is. We have public comments.
Ms. you gotta vote.
Okay, we need to take the vote.
All in favor?
All in favor of? Any opposes? Ms. Bishop, 5-0.
Madam Chair, it was inadvertently omitted from the agenda, but Lee Elementary School is here to do their school's presentation to the board.
Yes, ma'am. Lee?
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Christy Miner. I prepared just kind of some mid-year information for the board. If you'll turn to the first page, you'll see our staff. Our staff has stayed the same since the beginning of the year. Minus we've had one resignation go to Hamilton. That was due to an uncertainty of school consolidations, and she was getting a higher salary, so we lost her and weren't able to replace her, but our staff has stayed the same. On the next page, you'll see our current school enrollment. We are holding at 168 students. Our class sizes are there. We are having new students come in and out daily. This time of year, students are making moves. The next page, just kind of stating some of the things we're working on to improve our data. We began in ELA by giving the core phonics survey to all the students in 1st through 3rd grade. We have implemented the Youth Live program for remediation in grades K through 6. It's working really well. The teachers are giving really good feedback from the Youth Live. This is the first year of full implementation, and we feel like we're really seeing some results. We have implemented daily read alouds from the best standards book list, principal walk through and look fors, lesson plans, standards-based teaching, use of anchor charts, instructional boards, and weekly library time has been implemented in all grade levels. We have also implemented UFI as Tier 1 instruction in all of K1 and 2. The teachers are doing a great job teaching with fidelity and staying with the curriculum map and where we should be. Everybody's on pace with the pacing guide. We are doing LLI in small groups for Tier 3 intervention, and we are also STAR progress monitoring monthly and sending home reports to parents to keep them aware of where their children are. For math this year, for working on the data, we began by analyzing individual student reports from the FAST. This showed us specific standards we were weakest in. The teachers have built specific intervention time into the schedules, and that is happening daily for remediation. We are having weekly or at least bi-weekly PLCs held with me. That is very helpful. Teachers are really digging into the data. We're communicating with parents, holding conferences, sit meetings, etc. Having data chats with parents, letting them know where children are and where we would like them to be. Holding data chats even with our littlest students, even our kindergartners. We are finding that they understand where they are and where we want them to be, and they can see their graphs climbing. Lee Elementary is working with Caleb Watkins. He is a valuable resource to us. He is helping us with observations and professional development on the best standards. The teachers are really enjoying their time with him, as am I, and just learning from him and taking his recommendations. We have a non-negotiable math and ELA team time in every grade level, every day except for Fridays. So on the next page, you'll see our K1 and 2 PM data for STAR. Our kindergarten math has 47% proficiency right now. Kindergarten ELA, 71% proficient. First grade math, 81% of students are proficient. First grade ELA, 59%. Second grade math, 74%. And second grade ELA, 48%. So this was for our PM2. We have several months to grow, and we are looking for those numbers to increase further. On the next page, you'll see our 3rd through 6th grade FAST PM2 results. We're having to remind ourselves that what these results do not show are how many students are moving from a level 1 to a level 2, because this is just strictly looking at our proficiency. And we also have to remind ourselves and the students that the FAST is testing the entire grade level skill set. So we haven't taught them all the skills yet. So when we're looking at the data, children and us can get frustrated, but we're only halfway there. So we're doing well, and we are liking the progress we're seeing. 3rd grade is showing 40% proficiency for math. 3rd grade ELA, 29%. 4th grade math, 12%, 4th grade ELA, 18%, 5th grade math, 25%, 5th grade ELA, 40%, 6th grade math, 24%, 6th grade ELA, 50%. We also have some makeup testing, so that's not our final results for PM2. The next page is just showing that we have our pre-K teacher. She's working with 5th and 6th graders that chose to be in our yearbook club. That is really exciting. The kids are loving being a part of that, taking pictures and part of the decision making. And our yearbook is already in the making. So that was something new we did, beginning a yearbook club. Coming soon is going to be our art club. We have a teacher and a para that are going to be volunteering their time to offer art as enrichment club activities for some of our children. So we're really excited about that. The next page, the top highlighted area, shows what I presented to you at the beginning of the year about attendance. Attendance was a real issue at Lee Elementary last year, and 38% of the students were absent more than 10% of the school days. So we said at the beginning of the year, our goal was to decrease from 38% to 20%, and we did it. The bottom shows our information of attendance for the first semester, and we ended with a total percent of students missing more than 10% of semester one at 20%. So we were really excited to pull that data and see our attendance is much improved and meeting our goal. Next page, one of our goals was discipline. Last year, the school had 56 referrals with 21 students involved. This year, we have had 14 referrals with 12 students involved. The staff and students, I think, would put this as being that we are putting relationships before rigor. We implemented the check-in, check-out teacher-student mentoring program, and I can 100% tell you that it is working. We have students that are meeting with teachers that are other teachers than their own morning and afternoon, and they are accountable to them, and they are being honest about how their behavior is, how their attitudes are, and it is making a difference. And so I appreciate our staff, not only teachers, custodians, lunch staff, everybody is involved and really pouring into our students. As far as a survey from the staff, the school climate and the parents is positive. We have a bunch of happy adults and happy kids. We've had implemented monthly newsletters, parental involvement has been huge, Veterans Day program, grandparents lunch, Thanksgiving meal, Rocket Rewards, and it goes on and on, as you can see. Most events we are having at our school, I love to go see the sign-in sheets, and we are having close to 200 guests come through those doors at every event. The parents and the community really pour into Lee Elementary, and it's a joy to see. The next page, I've included just a couple pictures. Wanted to shout out to our Teacher of the Year, Kim Gurley. Wonderful, devoted, above and beyond teacher. So we're so proud for her to represent us. And Allison Webb is our SRP of the year. Doing a great job. She's one that's going to help head up our art club. The other one just shows the custodians and some of the maintenance staff. They cooked for us for Christmas, and I just think some of these pictures are a testament to the community that we have out at our school, from every staff member, from the top to the bottom, are equally important and pouring into one another and the students. So lastly, Lee Elementary is just really proud of the work that's happening. Students and adults are working together towards the same goal, which we stated at the beginning of the year was to be 1% better every day. Progress over perfection, and we feel that we are doing that. So.
Thank you, Mrs. Mariner.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment about your weekly library time. I'm glad to see that you've got something going on there. How is it working? What's it going to look like?
Well, it's wonderful. We are really blessed that we have the Lee Public Library right next to us. And so most of our teachers are using that. We don't have a librarian, but we do have resources to use our books in the library, and our teachers are going to the library and using it. But most of our classes go next door to the public library, and they have programs that our teachers are tapping into. They work with the kids. They'll do an art project, different resources each week.
That's
And
very-
so,
thank you.
Yeah, we're really blessed to have that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, item number 3, public comments. Who do we have? We have Mr. Will, followed by LaTanya, and followed by Jamie Andrews.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, Board, Superintendent. Thank y'all for having me this evening. I'm disappointed to see that 5.9 was removed. I'm sure there's considerations going on as far as that goes at this time. Some of the things as I thought about it after I've been to the meetings and been to the town hall meetings and discussed things and looked at what we're looking for a plan of action going forwards. And, I thought about it some more and I said, I have some more ideas that I'd like to put out there in terms of things that can be looked at to help consider this. That's in the best interest for the students and for the school district, for us to succeed as that time goes on. So just real briefly, some of the things I wanted to consider to look at there was.
Hold on one
Go ahead.
minute. On the public comment, and I'm sorry I didn't mention it, it's limited to 3 minutes.
That's fine.
But I'm going to, after your discussion, I will talk about it.
Sounds good,
With the
not a
board.
problem.
Okay.
So, real briefly, the first thing was, we talked about consolidation, while crunching the numbers that have been given in these. The first thing I noticed was, in the room that's available, the benefit that, we're saying that these schools in town are doing good and we're succeeding and we have good things going on. We can close down the high school, move the high school to the central school, make it K through 12, similar to like Jefferson County has done, leaving our outlying schools open and running still and having those consolidated in one location. That actually saves more money than closing the outlying schools based off the numbers given. The other option is looking into my current profession and what I do. I work in other states with a lot of educations, and you see a lot of things in Georgia next door. It's the SPLOS program and stuff, where we look at the ideas of the possibility of a 0.5% increase on a sales tax or a 1 cent per gallon on a gas tax. I'm not a huge fan of taxes, but with it being said, it's going to our children, helping our education in a way that can put money back into the school district's pocket to help fund these things and be able to give more to our kids and our education here while keeping these small outlying schools and these communities alive and well. Thank you for that, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. I hope that tonight I can get the board to agree that we have some workshops, and we will, right here, right now, after your comments, that we can set workshops, and then we will set a date and a time that we will vote on this, and then at that particular time, restructuring, and at that particular time, we will ask that we hold it in a larger setting and advertise it properly. So board members, what do you think?
For possible dates for
I'm
workshops?
not asking for dates right
Okay.
now. I'm asking for workshops so that we can do a consolidation of everything that we have heard. And at these workshops, the public will be invited to give your, not that the discussion that we want the schools closed or open, what we can do to help, as you were saying, your ideas.
I like it.
Okay.
We have to have workshops. I mean,
Okay,
that
board
should be the
members?
next step moving forward. It's
Okay.
absolutely workshops. We need
I-
to consolidate.
I agree with that, and I actually have a list. I emailed this to the superintendent, and I'm not gonna take up the time right now, but I will speak on it at the end of the meeting of other things that I'm going to request prior to a proposal. But I absolutely agree, we do need workshops. I don't think any of us are ready to make a decision at this point.
I'm ready to make a decision at this point, but I'm available for workshops. I mean, I was elected to make a decision, and I've seen it all, I've heard it all, we've talked it all, but that's just me. I'm just
Yes,
speaking for
ma'am, and
myself.
I quite understand that, but we want to get some more ideas.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that the public is satisfied with us voting directly after these town hall meetings. I've had some calls that they thought that we would get together and consolidate everything that we have heard. I'm ready to vote too, and maybe everybody else is ready to vote, but to satisfy the public a little bit. What do you all think?
I'm not ready to vote, and maybe I should not have said everybody's not ready to, or, that we're not ready to vote, but I'm personally not ready to vote. I'm not ready to place a rubber stamp on a decision without information that I have continuously requested that has not been provided to me. So,
Okay,
I will say that.
so we will get together. We will decide on how many workshops we want. And we would decide on the venue. So we don't need an adoption for that. We have all agreed on that.
Correct.
Okay,
And I
thank you.
think that the community is also looking for the combined results and the Q&A that we promised them that would be available on the website. So I want to reiterate that, that needs to be made available to the community as well.
The documents promised to the community has been on the website all year. And at the last meeting, I showed them how to find it.
Okay,
Thank you.
we'll discuss that
Okay,
later.
thank you, board members. We will go to Mrs. Jones.
Yes.
Ms. Latanya? Oh,
It was on there.
and I'm sorry, we have a 3-minute limit.
Hello, board members. My name is Latanya Jones. I have a child that attends Madison County Central School that is in the 5th grade. Her name is Journey Jones. And I have some questions about what happens when a principal or head staff violates HIPAA violations that causes a child to endure trauma. My child's HIPAA violations were violated. My child has a problem. She has ADHD. Principal Amanda Brown yelled out in the hallway last year for my daughter to take her medicine. When she did this, it caused problems with my child. My child also was getting in trouble a lot by Miss Amanda Brown. When she yelled this out, students began to pick on my child. My child has a disability. Also, I wanted to know, as far as kids with disabilities, my child is being punished to the maximum amount. My child was sent to jail by Miss Amanda Brown. Miss Amanda Brown did not try to contact me or anything. I waited, trying to get in touch with my child. She didn't come home from school, went to the school board, not the school board, the schoolhouse, and there, my child was there, and Miss Brown would not let me speak to my child, and my child has a problem. She was taken straight to jail, and I wasn't able to talk with my child. On the way, while they were putting her in the car, I was trying to talk to my child, but they took her straight to jail. My daughter's HIPAA violations have been violated by Miss Amanda Brown in the Madison County Central School. Not only that, my rights as a parent, they were violated. I have spoken with Ms. Joseph multiple times. Nothing has not been done about it. My daughter doesn't want to go to school. Not only that, children with ADHD problems at school. Madison County Central School is not offering any programs or anything to help kids that have ADHD or behavior problems. These kids are being punished, and I don't think that it's fair that these kids are being punished to the maximum amount. And not only that, the school is not doing nothing for them. Instead of them, my daughter is a very smart child, but she has a problem where she can't be still. She's a busybody, and she's in a normal classroom setting, but she's smart. She doesn't qualify for tutoring. Her grades are good. When Mr. Brown wrote, also I complained about the referrals, how the referrals were being written up. The kids' referrals are being changed. They're not being written for the things that are how they are behaving. My child gets in trouble for not being still, can't be still long enough, or talking when she's done with her work. She get student of the week, good grades, everything, don't qualify for tutoring. But at the same time, she has a problem where she can't be still, and she's been getting in trouble. at school on the regular. When her referrals are done by Miss Amanda Brown, Mr. Amanda Brown changes the disciplinary referrals to make my child look like a criminal. She's even wrote that on a couple of her referrals. And I want to know what is being done to staff members who violate children's HIPAA rights and cause problems for them in school. I also want to know, this is a No Child Left Behind County. It's a No Child Left Behind County, but these kids at this central school, the grades, they report the grades. Every email, I get email, but when it's time for a report card, those grades don't line up that what's been told to me. Not only that, when it comes down to extracurriculum activities, they're not getting any. They're being punished. And maximum to the extreme. Why are kids with behavior problems being punished to the extreme? My child got in her first fight last year she got in a fight about when Miss Brown violated her HIPAA rights and yelled this at
Ms.
she
Jones, I
got
would give you
picked on.
another
So,
half minute to complete, please.
okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
But nothing was done about it. Not only that, it's steady occurring, and as I say, this is a No Child Left Behind school system. Why there aren't any, when these kids' grades drop below a D, if they get a D or C, somebody should be getting notified. Parents should be getting called. Things should be done. None of these things are going on. And I don't know why, but it should be, because it's a No Child Left Behind county. Not only that, the funds, where are the funds going? Because it's not going into these kids.
Thank you,
For
Ms.
that they
Jones.
can excel, and thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. Joseph and our attorney, would you like to address that?
One thing that I do know, we've had an investigation about that. I've got to get with my human resource person and see where it is, but we had an active investigation going on about this.
Would you like to talk about HIPAA?
Certainly under HIPAA, you're not allowed to divulge the personal health care issues or information with other folks. Obviously, I haven't looked into the facts of this case. I think probably the way to proceed is to have the superintendent do that and come up with a report. She can report back to the board on what was done. It's very difficult to discuss these things at this kind of a setting, because
Exactly.
obviously with the parent is free to say whatever she would like to say, but we really can't say anything about the child. But I think the next step is to have the superintendent do a report, bring it to y'all, and then certainly one of you all can bring it up at a board meeting if you'd like to.
Thank you. That's why I wanted you to explain HIPAA.
Yes, ma'am.
There are certain things that we can and can't tell the public. But, thank you, Ms. Jones.
And I get the information to you of where we are on that investigation
Okay, well, how soon?
this week.
Okay, Ms. Jones, did you hear that?
Yes, ma'am, I heard it.
Thank you.
It was done last year.
Okay, thank you. Is it Jamie?
It is,
Andrews?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Hope y'all had a great holiday. But I watched the last board meeting via, nice comfy home on December 18th, I believe it was. And Ms. Joseph, I was very excited to hear you bring up the feasibility and bring it to the board that you would like to look into that. And I did see it on the frequently asked questions on the website underneath the
So
meeting.
you found the document that I had posted?
I did, but when I went to look at it today, because I didn't want to misspeak, I couldn't find it anymore. So I don't know if, and I looked, so I don't know what happened. I didn't know if it had been taken down to be updated or what. But, because I know you had mentioned on there, like, on that, you said who you were going to speak to and
You
when.
just said it's still there.
It is, okay, I don't know why it's not pulling up on mine then. It was underneath the meeting notice? Right, and then I scrolled through that and I couldn't find it anymore. I don't know, I just thought it might be being updated, I wasn't sure. But, so I was hoping, I know you can't really answer questions in this setting right now, but I was just hoping, as a bullet point, what the progress is with that, like speaking to, I don't remember who you said you had to speak to and the timeline and what it would cost and if it was worth it. But that's all I
I'm waiting
had
on
was the,
information from the executive director of the Superintendent Association. He said he would get back with me after the first part of the year as for a time frame and a cost of conducting a feasibility report.
okay, thank you
But
so
I
much.
will
That
reach
was
out to
my
him,
question.
okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, members, we will go right to the agenda. That's item number 4, and it's consent agenda. We have 4.1 minutes, 4.2, Madison County High School basketball schedule, 4.3, Idea Part B, K through 12 entitlement grant, 4.4, Idea Part B, preschool entitlement, 4.5, data sharing agreement with Madison County property appraiser, 4.6, Madison County Central School softball and baseball schedule, 4.7, fundraiser, 4.8, Madison County High School supplements, and 4.9, calendar revisions.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
I second.
It's been moved by Mr. Carroll, second by Mrs. Knight, that we approve the consent agenda. Any discussions?
Yes, I had a question on the supplements. I don't know if anyone else questioned it, but I did. With Ms. Joseph, could you explain that to what we talked about earlier about the supplements?
Okay, one of our employees were down for a supplement for weightlifting. He's not gonna be able to fulfill that duty. Weightlifting is a spring sport, and so he have not started receiving his supplement for that. We're not double paying anybody for any supplements. A supplement is for the entire amount, that's it. And so we've switched it to someone else. But
Thank
the
you.
other, it was removed from the other person before he started receiving payment for that.
Right. I just wanted to make sure the public was aware of what was going on there. Thank you.
That does satisfy your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay, we'll take the vote. All in favor, show your hands, please. Ms. Bishop, 5-0. Items for individual consideration, 5.1 has been pulled. That was internal account audit. We'll go right to 5.2, personnel changes. Mr. Ben Killingsworth.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This evening, we have one teacher recommendation, 2 non-instructional recommendations, one at Central, one at Pinetta. Both of those are grant-funded positions. And then, unfortunately, at the bottom, there are 4 positions that 2 are resignations, and then 2 are leave of absence.
Mr. Killingsworth, would you like to do volunteers too while you're there?
Yes, ma'am, and you talking about this, can we do the substitutes
Yes, sir.
first? Okay, we have 2 substitutes that we're asking for your recommendation, one for custodian and one for bus driver, that being Mr. Walker and then Mr. Wheeler for driver. And then we have 2 after-school tutoring positions, that going to Central, Ms. Provost and Ms. Thompson, that will fall up under the same format that they were earlier. So that'll fall within that same guideline. And then we have 10 names as far as your volunteer list that we're asking your approval for this year. We have the school sites listed, as well as whether, so to speak, help in the classroom or mentor or extracurricular clubs, that type of effect. PTO, advisory, those type of aspects for each of those individuals. If
Okay.
y'all would so
Thank
kindly.
you. Board members, what's your pleasure
I
on
move to
personnel and volunteers?
I move to approve the personnel changes.
Okay,
Do you want me to include the volunteers in that?
please.
Okay, but then we also will approve the volunteers.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved by Mrs. Gibson, second by Mr. Carroll, that we approve the personnel changes and volunteers. Any questions, concerns? There be none, we'll take the vote. All in favor of? 5-0, Ms. Bishop.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to have the public hearing, policy revisions by Mr. Killingsworth. This meeting is now open to the public. For policy.
This is over the 73 bylaws, policies that we have to update from time to time through Neola. We've had a workshop. They've sat down and gone over the adjustments, changes that need to be, and they've been advertised for basically the 30-day period. So basically tonight is if you have any questions about them, and then at the end, hopefully, that they will vote, and then we will go from there.
Okay, 3 times. Any questions from the general public? 1.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Will you please come to the podium, please? Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Knighton. I don't have any children in this school system whatsoever, but I've been back home for 9 years. And I might have 2 future grandsons that might be here, and this is my concern. Have y'all made a decision about the consolidations of the schools yet? Has it?
No, ma'am, these are about policy revisions that we've advertised for the last so many days, 60 days.
So I'm out of turn, that's what I'm speaking?
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
I do apologize. But
You're
can I-
welcome.
But can I finish?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm here for a memory. I went to school in Pinetta. It's a great school. Please keep it. Do whatever you can.
Thank you.
What is the capacity for Madison Central School, student-wise by fire marshal's regulations?
1,819 students is the capacity.
So they could have Pinetta Lee come into the system without any overcrowding, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any gang affiliation at the school at the present time? Does anyone know?
Any gang affiliation?
We have policies concerning gangs, but we don't have the affiliations. We don't have any information on that as of now.
All right. So, like I said, I'm here for a memory. I will do whatever I can to keep Pinetta open for us.
Yes,
okay?
ma'am. And ma'am, when we first opened,
I know, but I've never been to one of these. Like I
Yes,
said,
ma'am.
I don't have children here, maybe 2 potential coming down the road. I'm a public person. I'm fixing to leave. You're fine.
no, ma'am, I just want to explain something and give you some information.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, public comments, and that's what you're doing now, comments, public comments. When you enter the building, when you enter, it's going to be to your left-hand side at that podium that's back there. If you would like to have any comments or talk about anything, you sign in there, and when you sign in there.
Yeah.
And then for further information, we've had town hall meetings at every school,
Yes, ma'am.
and this is what we're doing. We just spoke about workshops.
Yes, ma'am.
And those workshops will be advertised, and you can come to those workshops
Oh, I'll be glad
and
to.
give, yes, ma'am, and give us your concerns
And-
then, and any answers that you might have.
Well, I do apologize, but no one told me what I do.
It's
Like I said,
okay, ma'am.
That's
Okay,
okay.
it's okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great evening, ladies
Yes, ma'am.
and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, it has gone one time. Okay, public comments. Second time, please come forward about policy revisions.
Hello, as far as policy revisions, I when I came up here, policy revisions.
What specific policy? We've
No
advertised.
child left behind, no
Okay.
child left behind policy. The school has
Mr.
a no,
Killingsworth, was that advertised?
a no child left behind policy. The no child left behind policy is not being followed already, so as far as revision go, what happens when the policies that are already in place are not being followed?
Ms. Jones, what this is for you to have already read those policies that we were putting in place.
Okay.
Policies that are already
Okay, the
in
no
place.
child left behind
And
policy.
then the policies, you were supposed to give us the policy that you were talking about, and in it, what you're concerned about. But I don't think that was in the policy revision.
It wasn't.
No, ma'am, that was not in the policy revision.
Okay, do you, why isn't that in the when that's a big
Because
role?
no, we're not
important
revising
part?
those at that particular time. You may sit down.
Okay, well, thank you. I didn't get the papers.
Ma'am,
I didn't get the papers.
I'm sorry, they're advertised. Ms. Jones, any questions that you've had, you've always been able to call me. You can continue to call me.
Yes, ma'am, but
And these were advertised. It's a certain procedure that we have to go by, and we do go by these procedures. It's not being ugly to anybody, but we don't want a disruption. Now, it's undue circumstances with certain people. Now, the lady that previously spoke, of course, we have to give time to the elderly. And people who we know, want information and not quite understanding what's going on. And she was grateful for that information. We're not gonna have any back and forth right here, right now. Last call. Anything from the public concerning the policy revisions? There'll be none. Continue, Mr. Killingsworth.
Yes, ma'am. I ask that y'all accept the revisions that y'all so graciously had a workshop. We went through them methodically, adjusted whatever was needed based on, most of them are, as you know, so the public knows, based on law changes through legislation to put us in compliance with current laws. So I'm asking you to please approve those now. I will have the next batch coming around, so we'll go back through the same procedures, because I know y'all love that so much, so
Well, thank you, Mr.
you are
Killingsworth.
so welcome. I just
Now,
love
the
to
public,
please.
you've heard, and you've seen they have been advertised. We had open dialogue. There was none. This meeting is now closed to the public. The policy revision is now closed to the public. We'll take the vote.
Madam Chair, I move to accept the policy revisions that have been publicized.
A second.
It has been moved by Mrs. Knight, second by Mrs. Thompson, that we accept the policy revisions. Any discussion? There be none, we'll take the vote. All in favor of, please show your hands. No opposes, 5-0, Ms. Bishop. No opposes.
Thank you.
5.5, support for food and agriculture services learning program. Mr. Jones.
Good evening, board. I am not presenting this grant. This is a grant that Dr. Roberson has written, and she's asking for the school district to support her in her grant, and I'm gonna allow her to come up and inform us what the grant is and what support she needs of the board.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So just here to talk about a little bit of what I'm doing. I'm Shamaria Robertson. I'm from Greenville, Florida, born and raised there, went to school in Madison County. I started a nonprofit about 2 years ago to help do a number of things in the community: economic development, youth development. So for this year, for example, we were able to partner with the Boys and Girls Club, now good things. And we were able to take the kids on a field trip to FAMU. They got an opportunity to meet campus staff. They got a chance to go to the football game. The foundation was able to support the purchase of the tickets for over 25 students. So that's one of the enrichment items that we've done. Just to give you an example, we're not just asking for support, we are actively doing things. We have an active roster of about 10 kids that we engage with on a regular basis. We opened that up to the public for a holiday event. We came out, we did toys, we did meals, we brought mentors in to hear some additional things that families would like in December. And then, post-storm, we gave boxes of food to the elderly, to families. We gave supplies to daycares. We helped facilitate, in conjunction with Florida Department of Children and Families, toys, different items for children, for babies. We also go out and we do in-kind things like seek additional information. So we're helping to facilitate the day at the Capitol for Greenville next week. I myself will go to that day. I will speak, working with some of the representatives, some of the senators to help hear issues and bring additional resources to Greenville. Fast forward, for example, and we have to report this information back. We went on to find out additional information post the meeting that I went to in Greenville. So for example, with FEMA, some of the people that volunteer with the organization were able to find out that a FEMA project worksheet can be done to repair schools. We did research to find out where this was done last in Florida. The last place this was done was in Lee County. Lee County was able to present a FEMA project worksheet. What happened with that is they received half of the funds to start the project based on the contractors and how much it was, and then contingency for funds post-completion at different phases. That's an example of the kind of things that we just give back free and in kind to the community that we love. So more information about that, we will email this information to the school board, but we are asking for support for a USDA grant. And basically what this grant will do is we'll be able to work with students at Greenville Elementary and in the community to provide access to agriculture type activities with FAMU, with local farmers, to go and expose them to the agricultural field. We will be able to do youth development. We'll be able to have mentors come in. We'll be able to leverage additional funds that we've received by way of donations to work with students so that they can learn about agriculture and how it plays a big part. Is one of the largest funding activities in the state of Florida, and a lot of kids, they don't know that. They just take it for granted that they see cows, they see farms. So we are asking for a letter of support to pilot this, and if the board would like, we can seek additional opportunities to help bring supplemental programs to empower youth in schools, that after school programs, before schools, or however the school deems necessary. I'm just asking for support.
So you're just asking for a letter of support?
Yes.
And you're not asking for no in-kind donations or
No,
anything?
no in-kind donations, no anything, just a letter of support, and would like to continue to look for grants and work with Mr. Jones and the school board to bring grant opportunities that can benefit the school, but no money, no in-kind, anything. I just want a letter of support, and, if awarded, for the school to deem the appropriate time for us to be able to work with students, even if that's on the weekend and they say you have to have it at the park. Just support, that's all.
Mr. Reeves, do you see any problem with us? Okay. I make a motion that we provide a letter of support.
Second.
And it's been moved by Mrs. Thompson, second by Mrs. Gibson, that we do provide this letter of support. Any discussion?
I like your idea. I hope you can get the grant, and it would be very beneficial for Greenville. I know that.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we'll take the vote. All in favor of? 5-0, Mrs. Bishop. Let me ask you this, and
Yes,
I know
ma'am.
it's, you're volunteering doing that. We have Lee and Pontiac too. We have a whole county. After you finish this with Greenville, and if you can anyway incorporate Lee and Greenville in some of this, with amendments and whatever and all that, will you see if you can do that, please?
Absolutely. There are a ton of grants, and I have a ton of volunteers that volunteer their time to write these grants, and there are a ton of opportunities for schools all around, so I would love to
Now,
work with the other schools to do
That's
this.
just me asking that question.
Absolutely.
I'm not giving permission. We have a superintendent and we have an attorney and the board. But that's just me asking if you can do something, if you see something that could benefit Lee and Pontiac also.
Absolutely, and I can share them with the grants director so that they can share with all of the schools, so we can identify more opportunities for students in the county.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Dr. Robinson? Okay, we'll go to 5.6, agreement with the Division of Emergency Management, Mr. Rod Williams.
Ms. Lee Bassford from the Emergency Management will be here to discuss that.
Hello, Board. Hope you are doing well. I have not had the opportunity to come before you since Hurricane Idalia, so I would like just to take a moment to thank the school district for their support during the storm, specifically the preparations, the sheltering, and everything post-storm that you all did to help our community get back on its feet and recover. I know we have a lot of teachers in the room who were volunteers during that time, and having to come back in and work in the educational environment, can often be stressful after these types of events. So I do want to take a moment to thank you. You all did a wonderful job in assisting emergency management in many different ways, so thank you. Now for why I'm actually here tonight. I'm here to discuss the statewide mutual aid agreement with the Florida Division of Emergency Management. And just a brief overview, it's basically an agreement that is between counties, municipalities, educational districts, and the state of Florida for mutual aid rendered during disasters. So it's a legal framework for us to establish rules and standardizations for reimbursement requirements. So should we ever have to send help to other communities and the community send help to us, we want all of our municipalities in the county and the school districts to be part of this agreement so that reimbursement can be made accordingly. So that's basically the statewide mutual aid agreement. I'm just here asking for signature.
Board members, you've heard. Can we have a motion and a second, please? What's your pleasure?
I move to approve the agreement with the Division of Emergency Management.
I second.
It's been moved by Mrs. Thompson, second by Mrs. Knight, that we approve the agreement with emergency management. Questions, concerns? No discussion?
Actually, Madam Chair.
Okay.
You've got on the last page of the agreement, they have a sample resolution, and I think we got into this another time. What I think you're actually doing is you're approving that resolution, and then that resolution says you can enact or you can sign the agreement. And I believe they're looking for that resolution, aren't they?
Yeah, and I typed up a resolution. I didn't know how that worked. I knew with the county it was a little different, but there is a resolution there in that packet.
It's the last page, and so that's what you're approving is the resolution.
Okay. All in favor, please show your hands. 5-0, Ms. Bishop.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. 5.7, field trips, Mrs. Joseph.
Field trips being requested are as following. For the FFA, they're going to the state horse judging competition on February 10th in Tampa. FFA, which is a busy group. This is also part of the state fair. They'll be in Tampa 7th through 9th, and the Madison County High School Jazz Band for their jazz music performance assessment will be in Tallahassee on February 15th. Okay, and the band is also going to Leon High School on March 2nd for band concert music performance assessment. Okay, those are the trips being, and the Vaquero Guard is going also. But those are the trips that's being requested, permission to go.
Board members?
Madam Chair, I move to accept the field trip request.
Second.
It has been moved by Mrs. Knight, second by Mrs. Gibson, that we accept the school field trip request. Discussions? None. All in favor of? 5-0, Ms. Bishop. Okay, 5.8, travel. Mrs.
Travel,
Joseph.
we've got several staff travel. First one is for the FISBIT conferences, that's being paid by FISBIT, and that will be myself, Ms. Rainick, Ms. Fletcher, and Ms. Knight. As people, that's being paid out of the Title I grant, and that will be Mr. Jones. ATIA, that's something to do with ESE, that's paid for out of IDA funding, and that's Ms. Cherry. The Case Winter Conference, that's also being paid for out of IDA, and that's Ms. Ritchie. And Institute of School Finance, what we're doing here, we're being proactive, and we want to train people in positions, so before we get an alert again. And so we're sending Ms. Fletcher to finance officer training. So if anything, we won't be an alert without a finance officer again, and that will be coming out of general fund. The transportation meeting in Tallahassee, Ms. Ansley, that's $100 out of general fund. Okay, the BSI convenience, and that will be in Fort Myers, and that will be paid out of Unicy. Have y'all noticed I'm trying to keep things out of general fund? That's Barbara Thomas, Travis Jones, and Yolanda Davis. Those are your staff trips I'm requesting.
Madam Chair, I move to accept the staff travel request.
It's been moved by Mrs. Knight, second by Mr. Carroll, that we accept the travel request. Discussion? There be none, we'll take the vote. All in favor of? 5-0, Mrs. Bishop. Thank you. Okay, we're going to 5.9, school restructuring, that has been pulled. So we'll move on to item number 6, other items of interest, the superintendent, followed by the attorney, followed by board members.
Okay, Madam Chair, before I get into my sing-song dance, may I ask Ms. Rainette to come up and give us an update on our insurance recovery?
Yes, ma'am. And we can always add that to the agenda in the beginning when we're asking for amendments with agenda.
We have, good evening.
Good evening.
We have submitted 2 small projects through the state. They have to go to the state first before they can move up to federal FEMA. Pinetta and Lee's projects to the tune of around, I want to say $600,000 or $700,000. We're asking for them to consider obligating from the state level. Those they were proceeding well until Friday, and then they came back. They came back for some things that we have to get now from the Emergency Advantage Group, because there were some things about debris removal that the state FEMA did not like. So we're structuring those projects so that we can resubmit them. We hope they'll be resubmitted this week. Pending what's approved by state FEMA that moves up to federal FEMA, we have 7 more projects in the works that are structured very much the same way. So we're trying to figure out what exactly they're looking for so that we can make sure the other ones have that and won't get held up. We have, let me see, I lost my train of thought there. We have a lot of insurance issues going on back and forth. We're waiting for McLaren's to come to the emergency management to tell them what exactly our bottom line is and what the insurance will cover or not. As of today, we had discussion about there potentially needing to be an entire roof done on Madison Central, which will be into the millions of dollars. It would be covered by insurance, but we have to get all of that sorted out right now. We are going to be at the FISBIT conference next week, where we hope to discuss many of these things. One of these things that a result of some of these damages, and I sent to the board members, is our property insurance is going to go up at least between 12% and 36% next year, which means moving from about $800,000 for the year to either $900,000 or just over $1 million, $1.1 million for property insurance.
Now, when is it due?
Pardon me?
When is it due?
July.
Half of it is due in July.
I budgeted for it.
And that's probably the worst time when we don't have any tax revenue coming in, but that's when half of it will be due. I think, Ms. Joseph, was that all?
That's basically where we are. We're playing back and forth game with FEMA. We have not heard from the Ford company.
Now, the Ford company called last week late, and the Ford and Associates.
Yes, that's the
Company.
bond
They called
people.
late last week after I inquired where we were, and we're waiting for the update. I tried to return the calls today. I did not get the response. So as soon as I get a response, I'll update Ms. Joseph. She can update the board as to where we are. Mr. Reeves, I haven't heard anything from Brian Miller.
Bryant Miller and all.
Yeah, so I imagine they're waiting on Ford and Associates to get preliminary ideas so that they can move forward. So we are looking at taking care of that as well. We are working very closely. Synergy is the same group that worked in Lee County on the FEMA recovery. They have been almost 2 years now in recovery, and they don't have any FEMA money yet. So we're trying to make sure that the things that they were stumbling over, we're not stumbling over, so that we can facilitate the process and get money moving quicker. I don't have any timelines for when we expect to see money. And I'm not sure that we will have timelines until we see how those projects are progressing. But I do know that a couple of those projects have already been preliminarily looked at, and one associate that looked at them from the state level thought they were good to go, and another one looking at a project written exactly the same way said no. So we're gonna have to sort some of those things out from the state level first before we can move them to the federal level.
Thank you.
I've got a question for you. You mentioned projects. Now, I'm assuming you're talking about buildings that we have students in or employees, right?
The projects can be a bundle of things. It can be a building, or it can be the contents of the building, or it can be the exterior, like the ag complex, the sport complex,
Okay.
things like that. So it's not always a building.
Okay,
So what we've done is we've taken things that are similar at similar campus, at the campus. For example, Greenville might have 3 or 4 buildings, and we've pushed them into like one project. But at Madison County Central, it might be massive amounts of different things that are going on. So we split those up into smaller projects, because the state office told us the smaller the project is, the easier it is for the associates to go through the stack of paperwork,
right.
to move them forward quicker, to break them into smaller projects. So there might be several projects on one campus.
Okay, well, thinking in terms of money, because, you know,
Okay.
that's one of our top priorities. I'm thinking of the bridge building behind Central. That, you know, houses varies. We have plenty of room, like they're at Central right now. But before we go and spend a whole bunch of money back there, I think we need to think long and hard about it.
We do
I
have
don't know about
some-
the board members, but that's how it's, because that's gonna be a lot of money right there.
In our FEMA meeting today, the FEMA person said that there will be insurance estimates coming, and we hope to talk some at the FISBIT meeting to the insurance folks about that. They have not given us this is what it's gonna cost to fix this
Okay.
completely yet.
Right.
Because they were waiting for their engineers to look at the roofing.
Yes.
Because they know it's gonna need a new roof. So how that usually works is that if a building exceeds 50% of its value in repair work, then it usually becomes a different type of project, and they will say, do you want to keep it or not? Do you want to fix it or not?
So there'll
But
be some discussion going on.
There'll be some discussion
Okay.
going on.
All right.
But we don't have those final numbers yet
Okay.
on the Excel building, and our conversation in the FEMA meeting today was that the insurance people are going to have about, I think it's about 2 weeks that they gave us a timeline that they think they'll have those numbers.
Okay.
So we're going to discuss that
Well,
more next week. at
I
the
just
FEMA
wonder
meeting.
about the feasibility. I mean, we don't want to put a whole bunch of money into
Right.
something that's really not worth it to us, you know. It's-
Exactly. And
I
there
mean,
are some
The
projects.
program's worth it, let's not get me wrong there. But as far as housing the people in the program, we have room at the high school and room at Central, and in other words, there's room available. Okay, thank you. I just want to make
That's where
that,
we're at right now. We're in
clear.
a
Okay.
wait
Yep.
and see right now.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gibson.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Rose? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Chair. A couple of things, you had asked for a calendar, and at your location, you should have a calendar for January activities. And I want to give you a couple of February activities you can put on this calendar, put in your other little black book. Remember, the Teacher of the Year banquet will be February 1st. Also, the high school football banquet will be February 19th. Also, the principals are still sending out their weekly updates, and so if I forget some of these, they are on those. Right now, we are in the midst of our progress monitoring 2 testing. We're in that window, and so we've got a time span for that. A couple other things. On January 11th, we had the bomb threat. I need to thank everybody for working with us and being agreeable with us. We were fortunate that it was a hoax, and it did happen to be good practice, and we had a lot of lessons learned from that bomb threat. And we did debriefing here at the district office, and each school did a lot of debriefing. We did a lot of communication. We communicate through Blooms, which sends out textbooks, text messages, emails, as well as phone calls. And we communicated through Facebook, and we communicated through our webpage. One of the big lessons learned we learned from that is that we need to get with the parents and make sure that their demographic information is updated. Your information is only as good as what you have. If you put bad information in, the parents are not going to receive the communication, but we put the communication out in a very timely manner. And we also communicated with the sheriff department, the emergency management, as well as the North Florida, because we have kids that's attending dual enrollment, so they needed to be aware of that. And so we still have some loose ends, but we are working on it. What I need to pass out to you, and I know I'm just giving this to you, and so therefore we will not be discussing it because you need time to look over this before the night is over. You don't get one of those. I hope that we set a meeting for future, a date for future, for another meeting. And so this is some information that I've been gleaming from what some of you have been asking me. And so this is a starting point. I've got you 2 scenarios. We need to start with our staff and allocation plan. Okay, on one page, if you notice it says draft. Okay, one scenario is if our schools stay as they are. And the other one says if we restructure. And so at our meeting, which we'll set the date before we leave, this can be a topic for discussion at then.
Now, we just said before the beginning of the meeting that we would be having workshops.
Okay.
We did not know that you had this for us. You could have told us then. But remember, we said at the
We're not gonna discuss this now.
And the board agreed on this about workshops first.
We can have workshops.
Yes,
They can be
ma'am.
part of your workshop.
And so then the general public needs this information also.
I wanted y'all to look at it before I
Yes,
put it
ma'am.
out.
Mhm.
Because we just finished it today. So I don't know whether you wanted the public to know before you know what's in it.
Well, see, we're just getting it tonight, ma'am.
I-
And so we will look over it, but what I'm saying is, at the very beginning of this meeting, this board had agreed that we would have workshops, and with the workshops, then, we'd have the ideas from the public also. So, I mean, we got to hold to what we said. And now you're giving us this, and this is well, it's good. But if we had this included so that you have this information for us, so we could let them know that, we have this information too.
I just finished it today, and so it can be included as part of your workshop.
Thank you.
Again, I'd like to thank Ms. Meyer for her presentation. And you know what? I would like to thank all the people that participated in those community events. This is what we are about. We want you to feel a true part of the system. I want you to feel free enough to come and talk with us, give us your ideas. We ask for your ideas, and thank you. Yes, they were labor intensive, but that's what we're about. We're here to serve you, and I don't want you to feel that we're trying to do anything behind your back. That's why we were having these meetings, so you could come and talk. And several people attended several of the meetings. And again, I say thank you for attending the meetings. Thank you.
Mr. Turney?
I just have one thing. What the board had talked about setting workshops and all that, 100% support of it. What I would probably do though first is you probably want to go ahead and set the meeting on down the road that you're going to make your final decision. So that can get on out to the public, everybody knows it. Probably go ahead and pick your venue if you want it to be in the cafeteria, let's say the high school or somewhere where we've done that before, so it had plenty of space. And then once you have that meeting set, whatever kind of workshops you want, you've now got time to fill in. My only reason for suggesting you do it that way is if you did decide you were going to restructure however you wanted to do it, that's a very big project. You got to have time to do it, and so you need to kind of get those dates set. And then certainly whatever workshops and whatever information and all that you are needing, that should be part of those workshops. I would assume though, you could set a date if you wanted, because we're here in the middle of January. If you wanted to say middle to end of February, something like that, that gives you 4, 5, 6 weeks to do workshops and those kinds of things. And then I think you'd have time, staff would have time to do whatever the policy decision the board made. That's just my suggestion.
Okay, March? Set the meeting for March,
What was that?
the reconstruction. When we end all the workshops.
When we make a vote, is that what
Yes.
you're
Final
saying?
decision.
I think he said February, didn't he?
That would put us, he said the end of February.
The
so
end
that
of
would be the
February.
first
That's
March
up to
meeting.
y'all.
Yeah, I mean, well, that was just a suggestion.
I just meant not next week. I'd do it.
No.
On down.
So that's why I was saying, he said at the end of February, so that's why I said March, the 1st of March.
Okay. Should we set
But
it?
it's the pleasure of the board.
Talking about the first meeting in March.
Well,
First board
Yes,
meeting in March.
first
We
board
could do
meeting
it
in
the
March.
and
fourth.
y'all are certainly welcome to do that. If it were me, I would probably do a separate meeting with just this on the agenda.
Okay.
So that y'all
Not
have
a-
plenty of time to hear what everybody has to say, and you're not rushing them, because if you had something real important that also needed to be decided on that meeting, it would get
Yeah.
lost in the
Yes,
shuffle.
okay.
There's the 26th of February, that's the last Monday in February. That's just a suggestion. I could,
Can we, I have some requests, so can we decide on a date?
At the first
At-
workshop.
What I want to say is I have some requests. And I don't know that these requests will be met by that time, but if that is the case, then we can decide on a date. But I would like to at least voice my concerns and my requests before we decide on a date.
What are the requests?
Oh, well, is it my, yeah, well.
Just go ahead.
It
On the
does not
topic,
matter.
so bring it up.
Okay, so I met with the superintendent last week when I saw the agenda item that said school restructuring. And in that meeting, I wanted to know what the purpose of that item was on the agenda. And she said to me that she was gonna ask for suggestions from the board. And so I have a list, and I emailed this to her, and it's a pretty hefty list, but I feel like these are very important for the board in order for us to make a responsible decision. I would first like to request a financial impact analysis. I would like to request a detailed financial analysis of the current situation, including the hurricane deductibles and the ongoing financial strain. I would like a cost-benefit analysis of consolidating the schools, if that is the proposal, outlining the potential savings and how it will contribute to financial recovery of the district. I would like different scenarios to be given. Just for instance, if half of the students from the outlying schools were to come in, if all of the students from the outlying schools were to come in, and if none of the students from the outlying schools were to come in. That's math. That can be, those scenarios can be given. I would also like an educational impact assessment. I would like to request that we know how consolidation will affect the quality of education for our students. I would like information on any potential enhancements in educational programs, resources, or facilities that may result from consolidation. I would like information on the infrastructure or the proposed larger building, including necessary upgrades or modifications that may need to be made to consolidate the school. I would like to know what safety measures will be put in place to ensure the well-being of all of our students in a proposed consolidated environment. And most importantly, I would like the community input further. I would like for them to be involved in meetings, in workshops. It is of utmost importance to hear from the community, and I'm requesting that the superintendent make it a point to engage with the teachers and community members in the decision-making process. If proposed, I would like to know the timeline that we are discussing. I feel like it's important for our staff to be able to understand what the timeline would be. I would also like to discuss alternative solutions. I would like to request a community strategy to keep parents informed throughout the decision-making process. I would like information on how consolidation could potentially impact academic and extracurricular opportunities for our students, ensuring that there is no negative impact on their overall development. And I would like to know what the long-term vision is for a proposal. Last but definitely not least, if consolidation is proposed, I would like to know what the benefits are for our teachers and staff. Will there be added benefits and raises? In addition to these requests, I would like for us to do an anonymous survey of our teachers and staff. It needs to be done in a way that will protect their confidentiality, but also to enable them to provide the opportunity to provide valuable input on their plans if we were to consolidate. I'm not willing to be reactive. I understand that we're in a very desperate financial situation. And I feel like I don't want something to come up where we're our hands forced as a board. We need to be proactive in our decision making, but I'm also not willing to rubber stamp a decision and just make it yes or no without this information. So that's what I have.
Thank you. I don't have any other board member, any comments?
I mean, I have suggested numerous times that we need to gather this community information, and then we need to do these workshops, and we need to put together a comprehensive plan on how this consolidation is going to be beneficial to our staff and the students. And I really think that's what we need to concentrate these workshops on. We need to look at what the alternatives are if we leave the schools open, what we're going to cut and how we're going to cut it, and if we are going to consolidate, how it's going to benefit our teachers and students. So I think that's really what we need to focus on in these workshops is, we can't make a decision that's best for the kids if we don't have a comprehensive plan in place and how it's going to be executed and how we're going to reassure these parents that their children are going to be safe and it's in their best interest. We have to do better at making these parents feel comfortable with their kids being in our schools. And that is something that we have to implement in order to start bringing these kids back into the classroom. So I would like to just make sure that that is a part of the process in workshops for me.
Are you finished?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'd like to thank Ms. Christie for coming tonight, and I'd like to thank all the teachers from the elementary for being here tonight. I'd like to actually thank everyone who attended the town hall meetings. This shows the support that these three schools have. Pinetta was absolutely packed, and I agree with Ms. Christie. Almost, I'm sure every time there's something going on, there's at least 200 people. We can't say that for all of our schools, so yes, they feel comfortable going to those schools. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I would like to recognize a student in Madison County who won a contest. It was a Florida Space Art Contest. He is a first grader at Madison County Creative Arts School, and he was one of the 12 finalists in the year 2023. So we congratulate Colton James King on this. That was quite an accomplishment. I just want to touch on something. We talk about wanting information. Okay, we have Miss Rose sitting over there who has given us so much information. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, if you sit here and you say, I don't know what's going on, I don't know about the money, there's the expert right there. She's given us PowerPoints. I mean, and for people like us, it helps. So I want to thank you for what you do. And if I have any further questions or any time, I feel comfortable going to you. So I want to thank you for that. I've also got, just out of curiosity, in case you're interested, I've got a study that was done by the Florida Association of District School Superintendents, a study that was done in 2010. I've read it a couple of times. I've got a study that was done by again, same thing, 2015. And I've got a study that was done in March of 2017. And there are probably other studies done. These studies are not cheap. I've heard it goes between $5,000 and $10,000. Now, I'm not sure. That's what someone told me. Okay. They don't tell you what decision to make. In other words, I'm not depending on this. They give you some facts. Oh, and this year we had this many students and we had this many people working for us and blah, blah, blah. You're going to have decline enrollment, and guess what? It's happened. And we're down 100 students this year, which equates to about 950,000. So maybe with that information you just gave us, Ms. Joseph, that might help with that. But I was elected in 2016 by the people in District 2 to make decisions. Not to dance around and say, I don't know, I can't figure it out. A lot of my decisions, I was the lone wolf because I feel like they have faith in me and confidence. So therefore, I've made the best decision I can, good or bad. But you're going to know how I stand. I am not going to dance around this issue. I know the benefits of the schools. I know the finances. I know what's going on. We do have to have workshops. I agree on that. That is a necessity because we have to look at where the money is being spent. We are not rich. We cannot act like we're rich. As a matter of fact, we have to act like we're poor because maybe then we'll get by. So yes, I'm all for it. Any information you want to give us, hey, I'm all for it. But I think that's all I had to say tonight. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just want to say I appreciate everybody coming out. Appreciate Lee with their report. I appreciate everything everybody says. And my man back there, I can't remember your name. Will. Well, I appreciate you. You've been in that meeting, bro. And but you have some tremendous ideas, and that's one thing we need is ideas to make decisions, you know, with. And, I mean, because if there is an idea that can get us where we need to be, and all the schools stay open, then I'm good with that. But we got to have where we can be, because we don't have our kids are getting the bare minimum education. The bare. There's no programs formed for any kind of, you know, I'm talking about in the lower levels now. In like at the central school or anywhere else, if you're not in them smaller schools, if you're not, and I know they're starting an art club, which is great, you know, but you know, there's a lot of kids that like drama, chorus, things like that, you know, ag in the central school. If we're gonna have ag in the high school, we need to have it in the central school. But all that stuff costs money, and all that stuff. So if anybody got any
And all those are extracurriculum activities.
Do what now?
I say all of those are extracurriculum activities.
Ag is not an extracurricular activity.
But we don't have ag.
Not in the central school.
Oh, we've never had ag.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
Yes, we did.
Drama is a class. I'm sure we got some kids that's into the arts. I'm just saying, we got to figure out how we can up the ante with our kids. You know, just the bare minimum won't get it.
Let me ask you something, Mr. Carroll, and I'm not debating this with you. You said the bare minimum. They took a test, a state test. This is what got Pinetta a B. If they would have had accelerated points, it would have been, so in other words, they're learning something there.
English and math, I'm not talking about that. But there's more to school than English and math.
Well, I know, but we want to make sure they get
Yeah,
that
well, we
reading,
do. We
writing,
wanna
and
make sure
They're
arithmetic.
getting more than the bare
Absolutely.
minimum in education. Maybe you're talking about maybe drama and
I'm
some
talking
classes,
about adding some
but they are
programs.
getting a good
Yes,
I'm
education.
not
saying
As
that.
good
They are
an
good
education as any other. Our teachers are just as good
No,
as
I'm
any
not
other
saying-
teachers in the other campuses. They're getting a good education.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's more to going to school than English and math.
Some of these kids go to school for other stuff.
I grew
some
up
of-
reading, writing, and arithmetic.
I know, I
But
did too. I was in departments.
I want to add that when you pull the teacher salary schedule, and we are Gadsden County is the only county that makes less in the state of Florida than Madison County, and we wonder why we can't retain our teachers, because we cannot afford to pay them what they're worth. So that is another issue that I would like to see addressed when we're talking about money saving. Our teachers deserve more than the bare minimum, because we are one up from the bare minimum in the whole state of Florida.
That's all I got to say. I appreciate all y'all coming. It's good to see. We're gonna take a collection at the door right now.
Ms. Higgins, are we gonna set a date? Are we gonna set a date?
Board members, are you going to set a date?
Well, that's what I brought
I'd
my
like to
phone
set a
out for.
date.
Gibson, you had
Are
something
we
in
setting,
mind?
are we
I-
setting a
So
date for the
it's
first
the
workshop?
suggestion from the attorney that we set a different date from the school board meeting. I had suggested the first school board meeting in March, but he says in order to give everybody time to say what they want to say, and we won't do that 3 minute. But we will have some
Okay.
on there, but we won't be doing the 3 minute.
I just threw out the 26th of February because it was on a Monday.
Okay.
Ms. Joseph, can you tell us what time frame you need to be able to prepare some of this information?
Yesterday, but I'll take whatever y'all give me.
Well, we have a suggested date of,
Suggest.
February
I'll give
26th.
whatever day works with you.
we
I'll
have a
make mine.
suggested date of February 26th.
How's the board feel about it?
Well,
And it's
I-
gonna be a separate meeting from the board meeting.
I feel like you need to look at how many workshops you're gonna be able to have, you know, in between there.
So that's 6 weeks.
You know,
That's 6 weeks from today, is it? All of February, 4 weeks.
And I feel like we need to go ahead and schedule the workshops as well.
correct, that's
Okay,
what I'm
one
saying.
of these Mondays in February is a holiday, remember?
Correct.
February 19th is a holiday. Not 19th, oh.
Not anymore.
That's a makeup day.
We took the
Okay,
president's
but
day.
there's something already scheduled that day since we don't want to double plan. The,
Football banquet.
football banquet is scheduled for February 19th.
Well, how about
Now,
the
we can still
26th?
meet that day, but I just want you to know, I'm letting you know, so don't say you're not double.
I know, but
booked.
I wouldn't set that as a final meeting because I don't think that's fair for the parents to work
Mm-hmm.
to be able to be present at the meeting. So I think it needs to be set at a time and place that, you know, parents that want to come be involved can be there if they want to be.
Are we looking at the, am I hearing y'all talking about the 26th you vote, and in between you have a series of workshops in between?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So we have workshop on we have a board meeting on the 5th, workshop on the 12th, something, so basically that's only.
That's what I'm saying. I think it needs to get pushed back.
We need to
So you
decide.
need a later.
We need to decide how many workshops are we gonna have first. So how many would you like to have, board? 2, 3,
Probably 2 would be doing.
2?
I mean, it depends upon the information that we can gather. You know, it's. And everybody's availability, you know,
You're gonna have to meet during the week like you did
Yeah.
before.
correct.
Now, if you want 4 drawn out plans, we still have our other work to do. It's gonna take time for that.
Correct.
I would like a full plan.
4 drawn out plans, or
Absolutely.
3 or 4, I'll say we probably need to
Absolutely.
schedule for May or June then. Cause we've got other things, we've got our other jobs we've got to do.
Okay. It's the pleasure of the board.
So,
Did we say no to the 4th? Oh, the 4th is a meeting.
right,
The 11th?
why don't we push it to March 11th, and then
When
if
is
the
spring
workshops
break?
don't pan out,
That's the beginning of spring break.
First day of spring break. March
Oh,
9th.
that's,
But, we
Well,
can
we'll
meet
get-
that day.
it's not, yeah, that's what I'm saying, like, we need to get this done, so like, we have to be willing to make sacrifices if, if necessary. And we can always, change the date, we can just put it as a tentative date, and if necessary, we can move it, up or back, depending upon how the workshops go.
So am I here March 11th, and we have workshops in between?
And if you don't.
March 11th is good.
Okay, let's see, it's March 11th, is that the date for the final vote?
It's okay.
I would say, given
A
that we are
tentative
provided,
date?
Tentative date,
given that we're provided the information requested.
yeah, it'll just be a tentative date.
If it's over spring break, one of
Yeah.
the problems is the parents
No,
aren't gonna be
let's not.
available.
That's
Yeah, let's
exactly
not,
the-
no,
And you're not gonna have staff in the
Right.
school
So-
district office that day
That's
either. to
right.
help you.
So then push
They
it off.
deserve their
That is-
vacation, too.
That's right, so why don't we push it off to a Tuesday and do it the following Tuesday,
The
the
19th.
19th?
March 19th.
That's
Y'all
a
making me
school
write
board
down
meeting,
all
right?
kind of dates.
School board meeting's on the Monday.
Oh, the 8th, okay,
That's what I'm saying, push it to a Tuesday, so it's not, we don't have to work
That
around
makes
board
sense.
meetings.
Okay, March
And the-
19th, final.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies,
Yes, that's good for me.
gentlemen,
I'm good with all y'all.
okay.
And then we need to set a date for at least the first workshop, so that we can make a schedule at that workshop, is what I would suggest.
So how many are we talking about?
Depending upon the information that we can gather and how much we can accomplish in the meeting, I would say 2 to 4 meetings at minimum would be necessary. But I would set at least the first one so that we can, set a schedule so that we can, put it out to the public.
What's your suggestion?
How about the 12th?
You want to meet Monday, which is the 22nd
Yeah.
Of,
January.
This coming Monday, January 22nd.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
mean,
good?
we leave for
First
FISBIT later in the
workshop.
week, so yeah.
okay. First workshop, January 22nd. So we'll get that advertised. Do we have enough time to advertise that?
Yes.
Okay. And we would decide on the second workshop after that particular workshop?
I think we
May I
can,
ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Normally, they're not.
normally workshops are not, but they're, yeah.
We hadn't planned to. What's that question, Ms. Joseph?
Do you want to, set up some parent committees to work since you want?
I do,
Or you want to do
absolutely.
it
That was-
now or wait until Monday 19th?
I think we should set all of that in the workshop coming.
Yeah, I would like to involve parents, I would like to involve staff. I would like to do a survey of the staff.
Do you want to set that tonight or you
Let's
want to
do
do
it-
it the 22nd?
We'll do it in
We
the
can do it at the
22nd.
22nd.
That was my question, because I told you, okay, so we'll come up
We'll
with,
do that in the first meeting.
okay.
And then we will set the additional meetings after we have the first meeting. January 22nd, we'll set the second meeting. Then the second meeting, if we need additional meetings, we will go from there.
That's right. It's a living document.
What time are we gonna have that?
Parents are available, is it 6
o'clock.
o'clock?
I wouldn't do it earlier than that.
I'd say six.
They may work till 5. So we'll-
Yeah.
And then the ultimate meeting on March 19, you want to do that at the high school cafeteria?
Or wherever the superintendent, deems would be available.
The high school cafeteria?
I'll look,
I don't like that, them seats too little, they don't hold you.
I was gonna check with the high school about the gym, but I have to check and see, look
Okay.
at the schedule.
The
I don't know
basketball
what the
schedule.
The
is.
gym is better, a better
They're still
fit for
playing
me.
basketball in March.
They should be
Doesn't-
finished with
Yeah.
basketball in
I
March.
thought they went into the first week of March. Okay.
My mistake.
March
Can you
19th.
provide, on Monday, can you provide us with an update from FADS, from the requests that you made to FADS for the feasibility study?
Are we still gonna go down that lane?
I would like to know what the time frame is and the cost of it.
Okay, we have all
Any
of that
other-
settled. We do know that we're going to have our final meeting on March 19th, and our first workshop, final meeting on restructuring, March 19th, and the first meeting for the workshop, January 22nd at 6 p.m. So that as far as we've gotten today, tonight.
And we will advertise that. Has anybody not been getting the advertisement that the school board has been putting out? No. Because, who says no? Do you look at, do you have a parent? Honestly, I'm not wanna know, are you a parent? Oh. Oh.
But no, I have not seen any advertisement. The only advertisement I've seen is on Facebook, Madison What About, and only that I can
Don't trust Facebook.
on to the thing. But outside of that, there's been no advertisement.
Well,
Okay,
Ms. Joseph,
excuse.
where do we normally post our
Okay,
advertisement?
do you ever look at the district's webpage? Because I know it's on there. The district has a webpage.
You don't know what's on there, I would have never known.
Well, we would put it more than there because some people
Okay.
don't have internet in their homes to get it on the district web page.
The Madison What About, that's why I get a lot of my information.
Okay, we called. Do you get that phone call? Because I got somebody called me today and says,
They are not open,
huh?
no.
Okay, I'll get with Miss Christie, Miss
I
Mike.
didn't know during the after, it was going down.
Well, for, this is a special occasion, so, not occasions,
Miss,
special circumstances, we can, just advertise it however, any way that we can.
Miss Minor, can I check, make sure she's got the right number because she's getting your
Hold on,
blue.
ma'am. Hold on. Now, what were you saying?
I was supposed to take out flyers. If you get them done tomorrow, I will go in town and I will post them on every single place.
Do you get
We need
balloons from Miss Minor?
Board members,
Yes.
we need to post this. We
Yes.
need to post this.
Yeah, I share
wherever we can
everything on
post
social
it
media.
To make sure, and, hold on, ma'am, hold on. We need to post this in other places besides the
I
website.
share
Because we
everything.
don't want any other concerns, any other issues and whatever
I
and
share it
everything.
everywhere.
With business and whatever and everywhere. We just post it wherever, the courthouse, wherever.
It's always at the courthouse and out here.
Where?
It's always at the courthouse
At the,
and right out.
and right out there, okay? Well, people don't come up here unless they have, reasons to come out here. So what we're saying, since this is so,
That's the law, you know, we'll not after the courthouse, we'll not hear everything because we have dogs.
yes, ma'am, I'm understanding what you're saying. I got you, ma'am, I got you. I understand you. So what we're saying is, we need to put them in different places now. We need to even get them in Greenville. We need to get them posted in Lee,
What the
Pinetta.
superintendent is trying to clarify though is, are you not getting the notifications
Mm-hmm.
via Blooms or anything like that? They're not being sent out?
And she said no.
Because I'm a stay-at-home mom.
She said no.
I have one who has medical needs, so my phone is not important.
She get
Okay,
all,
we
you
got
get all
you.
Miss
We
Christie's
got you, ma'am.
announcements.
Exactly.
Board members, the simplest thing to do this is post these advertisements all over town, in each city, each little town, and each little city, and in different places. Ma'am, we got you. We got you.
Can we post it on the school, the doors, like the front doors of the schools? I mean, as the parents are coming in and out.
And with
that would be
your March
the best way to
19th
do it.
meeting, at least you've got time to give a handout to kids so they
Mhm.
can take it
To
home
pass.
to the children, to the parents.
Stuff it in every book bag.
Can we as,
And can we post it in Greenville Town Hall so that they can do that, Ms. Danzy?
I would like for one formal,
all the
Yes.
workshops and the final
Yes.
meeting.
Yeah.
And
One
share-
We'll send it
mhm.
home and post
Yes.
it.
Yes.
That's exactly.
So when we
And
put
post
that
it.
calendar together on Monday, we can just send it out to everybody with all
Post
the
it in the
dates.
Pinetta store, post it in the Lee store, wherever, post it in the Greenville store.
We don't
want
own
no
those stores.
confusion, huh?
We don't own those stores.
I
You
know
got
it
to
there.
Ask for permission.
That's
They'll let you
exactly.
do it.
So when we go with that,
All right, so
ask permission to post it.
I move to adjourn.
Okay, anything else? Madam Chair, I move to adjourn.
Second,
Okay,
okay.
this meeting is adjourned.